Hello, everybody. Welcome to Voices Big and Small. And on this episode, we're going to be taking a look at the career of Houston-based voice actress as well as um, CW39, Houston's morning co-anchor Maggie Flecknoe. So, without any further ado, let's get started. First, let's look back at some of the basic biographical information. Maggie Flecknoe, Margaret Catherine Flecknoe, born April 17th, 1983, which of course would make her 37, is an American voice actress, radio personality, television host, and producer. According to her biography, born in Aurora, Colorado, Flecknoe graduated with honors and a Bachelor of Science degree in journalism and broadcast news and a minor in theater from the University of Colorado at Boulder. I imagine that would make her a Buffalo, I believe, in May of 2005. Um, so basically about 15 years ago. Um, that summer, she started graduate studies at Harvard University and the Moscow Art Theater School, where she earned a master's degree in theater. And here's a basic background on her career. Flecknoe has done a variety of work from appearing in a commercial with Yao Ming to doing voiceover work for Japanese anime. In 2009, she played the role of Mrs. Elizabeth Corbin in the local production of Catch Me If You Can. I'm guessing that was the theater version. That's what they call local. She produces and hosts a regular online segment for KIHA, the CW affiliate in Houston CW39, called The Online Dish, and has also helped with their morning news program. So for those of you who live in the Houston area, you can catch her every morning on channel 39, CW39. She's a part of the Good Day Houston program, I believe, as well as doing this segment they're talking about. Flecknoe is also known for providing the voice for several characters for ADV Films and Sentai Filmware Seraphim Digital. She has also worked as an entertainment, news, and traffic reporter for Radio 740, KTRH, and 790, The Sports Animal. Yeah, so and I know she's also a big Houston Astros fan, from what I understand. Um, Big baseball fan as well. And from what I've seen from some of the research I've done on her, I have not met her myself, but from what little I've seen in terms of some of the research I've done on her, she seems like a genuinely nice lady. Um, so so with all that being said, now um, oh, and her in her anime work, of course, among some of Maggie's more well-known voice roles in the as an English voice actress would include Yaeko Minegasaki in Shogeki no Soma, Kana Kimishima in Parasite the Maxine, Iris Viel von Eisburn in the Fate Khalid liner Prisma Ilia arc of the Fate series, as well, and let's see, Rachel Benning from Red Garden. Those are at least some of her more well-known roles or more lasting roles. So with all that, now let's take a look. Let's take a closer look at her voice credits. At her voice credits. So of course, one of her basically her first voice role came back in 2006 as she was cast in the as the English voice of Ichijo in Pawnee Pony Dash. That was Maggie Flecknoe's very first role. That was back with, of course, ADV before they went bankrupt. And then as we move ahead to 2007, she would provide the English voice for Mami Aoki in Best Student Council. And in the aforementioned Red Garden, she would provide the English voice for Rachel Benning. Red Garden, I watched Red Garden a while ago. That was a pretty good, pretty interesting, very surreal anime. The idea is four girls were somehow killed by strange monsters and then were brought back to life to fight those monsters. So, very somewhat dark and very surreal anime. If you're into that kind of thing, you might want to check that out. Her English co-stars in that were, of course, Melissa Davis, Brittany Karbowski, and Kara Greenwood in that series. So now moving on a bit here as we move further. So we're still into 2007 here in Venus vs. Virus. She would be cast the English voice of Risa. In Tokyo Majin, she would be cast as the English voices of Sarah Rikudo and Hinano Oribe. Now, mind you, people, very rarely are you going to find an actor or actress being, on the dubbing side of it, being cast in more than one role. There are a few exceptions. Was that Tokyo Majin was one of those exceptions. As we continue to move on here, as we get to 2008, from the 2006 version of Kanon, Kanon, she was cast the English voice of Shiori Misaki. And then in Devil May Cry, she was cast as the English voice of Cindy. Devil May Cry, as many of you know, is the series that Ruben Langdon stars in as Dante. Also in 2008, in Shattered Angels, she would provide the English voice of Setsuna. And then in Kiba, she would provide the English voice of Aisha. She would reprise her role in 2008 as the English voice of Rachel Benning in Red Garden Dead Girls. Then as we move ahead to 2010, she would be cast in the English voice of Yukine Miyazawa in Clannad. Also in 2010, she would provide the voice of numerous characters. This is one of those rare occasions where voice actor and actresses would get cast in numerous roles. Golgo 13, which was probably one of the few episodic animes out there, basically follows the escapades of a professional assassin codenamed Golgo 13. In Golgo 13, Maggie would provide English voices for the following characters: Rosie Vanessa, Natalie Lewis, Jennifer, and Liz. Also in 2010, in the Legends of the Dark King, A Fist of the North Star story, she would be cast the English voice of Isabella. In Ghost Town, she would be cast as the English voice of Aya Komagusu. In Zomd Lost Memory, she would be cast as the English voice of Puar Sukaki. And then as we move ahead to 2011, in Needless, The Secret of St. Lily Academy, she'd be cast as the English voices of Set and Aruka. I'm going to say that I'm not Aruka Child, even though there's an S in front of SCHILD. So I'm going to think that I'm going to assume that that's pronounced child. Aruka Child. If any of you, oh, that was the short. It's in the short, and then in the series itself, Needless, the series itself, she would of course be cast as English voices of Aruka, Child, and Set. And if you guys know if I'm not pronouncing that right, feel free to kind of let me know. And then in High School of the Dead, she was cast as the English voice of Saya Takagi. Then in Gwyn Saga, she was cast as the English voices of Lucia and Sala. And then in Clannad After Story in 2011, she would reprise her role as Yukine Miyazawa, as well as providing the English voice of Saki. In the anime Demon King Daimao, she would provide the English voice of Korone. In Night Raid 1931, she would be cast English voices of Shunyo Akitsuki, as well as Lily. In the Samurai Girls anime, she would be cast as English voice of Hanzo Hattori, or I'm sorry, Hanzo Hattori. Now, from what I understand, I haven't actually seen Samurai Girls yet. At some point, I hope to. Um, Basically, what the anime is about. Basically, it's kind of set in the samurai time, but all of the main characters that you knew from that time are girls in this case instead of guys. So she was cast as English voice of Hanzo Hattori in Samurai Girls. And in the Broken Blade 3 Scars from an Assassin's Blade anime movie, she would cast as English voice of Lee. Okay, that was in 2000. Okay, so in 2012, she was cast as the English voice of Lee in all three of the Broken Blade movies. Broken Blade 1, The Time of Awakening. Broken Blade 2, The Path of Separation. Broken Blade 3, Scars from an Assassin's Blade. She has all three of those movies as the English voice of Lee. Then also in 2012, in Dream Eater Mary, she would be cast as the English voices of Nao Horie and Ishima. In The World God Only Knows 2, she was cast as the English voices of Yuri Nikaido and Kusunoki Kasuga. In Sekaike Sekairon, in the Sekairon short, she was cast as the English voice of the younger sister. In Raw Radio Noise Planet, she was cast as the English voice of Sato. In Heaven's Memo Pad, she was cast as the English voice of Miku Kimura. Then in Majikoi O Samurai Girls, she was cast as English. This is, of course, not to be confused with Samurai Girls anime. This is a totally different anime. She was cast as English voices of Ami Itagaki and Tsubane Masunaga. Then in the Ungo series, in the Ungo Episode 0. Okay, so in Ungo Episode 0 movie, she was cast as the English voice of Kumi Yasuda. And then in the Ungo series, she was cast as the Kaisho family maid. And then in the anime Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere, she was cast as the English voice of Kimi Aoi. And then in The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky, the animation, she was cast as the English voice of Campanella. In Penguindrum, she was cast as the English voice of Masako Natsume. And then as we move into 2013, in Bodacious Space Pirate, she was cast as the English voice of Belinda Percy. In Kami-sama Dolls, she was cast as the English voice of Kuko Karahari. In Battle Girls Time Paradox, she was cast as the English voice of Yoshimoto Imagawa. In Tokyo Magnitude 8.0, she was cast as the English voices of Masami Onozawa and Megu. In Kids on the Slope, she was cast as the English voice of Yurika Fukuhori. In Momo Girl God of Death, Ballad of a Shimigami, she would be cast as the English voice of Eiko Miyazaki. For those of you who don't know what a Shimigami is a death god. That's um, basically what it is. She would reprise her role as the English voice of Kimi Aoi in Horizon in the Middle of Nowhere 2 in 2013. Also in 2013, in the anime Another, she'd be cast as the English voice of Tomoka Inose. In The Garden of Words, she'd be cast as the English voice of Yukari Yukino. And from what I understand, she actually won an award for Best Female Voice Actress for that role for her role as Yukari Yukino. So in Shining Heart, she would be casting as the voice of Emil. In Suritama, she would be casting as the voice of Misaki. In Medaka Box, she'd be cast as the English voice of Mogana Kikijima. In Campion, she'd be cast English voice of Lucretia Zora. In in Nakaimo, My Little Sister is Among Them, she'd be cast as the English voice of Rinka Kuntachi. That one was an interesting anime as well. So the main character, it's a harem anime. Basically, the son of a very prominent corporate figure, in order to, as part to inherit the family business, he had to find a wife. And the thing was is that apparently as young children, he and his sister were separated, and his sister was supposedly among those, because some of the other board members had wanted to cause a scandal to try to take control of the company. So if they tricked him into marrying his sister, that would cause a scandal. That's basically the gist of the story for Nakaimo. My Little Sister's Among Them. So, and then in High School of the Dead, Drifters of the Dead, she'd be cast as she'd be cast. I think she'd reprise her role rather as the English voice of Saya Takagi. In La Storia della Arcana Famiglia, she'd be cast as the English voice of Mariella. In Girls und Panzer, she'd be cast English voices of Yuki Utsugi, Payotan, and Yoshiko Akiyama. In Batum, she'd be cast as the English voice of Shiki Murasaki. Batum's another interesting one. Just think of a live action RPG, live action survival RPG. In Neon Koi, she'd be cast as the English voice of Kanako Shimoyoshi. Another interesting harem anime I'd highly recommend. And then in 2014, she would reprise her role as the English voice of Mogana um, Kikajima in Medaka Box Abnormal. In exclamation point, she'd be cast the English voice of Yumi Mamiya. In the Girls und Panzer OVA, she would reprise her roles as Yuki Utsugi and Payotan. In Apote, I guess is how it's pronounced. In Apote, she'd be cast as the English voices of Sako RK95 and Miss Isuke Sig SK46. In Amnesia, she'd be cast the heroine. In Amnesia, she basically was cast in the lead role here, but the lead character did not have an actual name. They just called her the heroine. She was the main character. What would basically happen is she'd have amnesia, and yet she'd be bouncing from like one timeline to another, where it it's the amnesia aspect of it, it's a harem aspect of it, because there are like five guys in her line, and she'd be bouncing from one timeline to another in which she was involved with a different guy, you know. So that one was an interesting one to watch. She didn't her they just simply called her heroin in the not the drug. Okay, this one's the one that ends with the E, a female hero basically. And then in the 2014 short Samurai Girl, she would reprise her role as the English voice of Hanzo Hattori, and as well as in Samurai Bride, she would reprise her role once again as Hanzo Hattori. In the mecha anime Majestic Prince, she would be cast as the English voice of Teoria. In the Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Ilia anime, start of this particular arc, she'd be cast as the English voices of Iris VL von Eidensburn and Magical Bushido Musashi. Yeah, Seraphim Digital Sounds, Sentai Filmworks did the Khalid Liner Prisma Ilia arc of the Fate storyline. Some of the earlier ones were done out in LA, but for this particular story arc, it was done in Houston by Seraphim. In Log Horizon, she was casting the voice of Marielle. In Diabolic Lovers, she was casting the English voice of Yui Komori. And then as we move into 2015, Maggie in the anime Muv Love Alternative Total Eclipse, Maggie was cast as the English voices of Phoebe Theodorakis and Yuhi Kobuin. This is another mecha anime, mecha post-apocalyptic kind of anime. Also in 2015, in Love, Chunibyo, and Other Delusions, she was casting this voice of Shinka Nibutani. In the world God only knows goddesses, She would reprise her role as Yuri Nikaido, as well as being cast in the English voice of Nora. She would also reprise her role as Nora in The World God Only Knows Tenry arc. In Sony Annie Super Sonico, the animation, she'd be cast as the English voice of Sayaka Kinomoto. In Akame ga Kill, she would be cast in English voices of Kijay and Mez. She would then reprise her role as the English voice of Shinka Nibutani in Love, Shuni Buyo, and Other Delusions, Heartthrob. And then in the anime Parasite Maxine, which I believe was on Toonami, she was the English voice of Kana Kimishima, probably one of her more noted roles because of its showing on Toonami. She would reprise her role as Mez, albeit in chibi form, in 2016 in the Aka Kill theater short. She would then, in 2016, would reprise her role as Iris VL von Eisburn in the anime Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Ilia Tuve. I believe that's how it's pronounced because most of the words are in German. Wei. I believe that's Tuve. In Also in 2016 in the Utawareru Mono OVA, she was cast the English voice of Kamu Chaudhary. I haven't actually seen the newer Utawareru Monos yet. I saw the original, I think, back in like 2007 or 2010 or something like that. So that was a pretty good one. In Log Horizon 2, she would reprise her role as Mariel. She would also reprise her role as Belinda Percy in Bodacious Space Pirates: Abyss of Hyperspace. That was a movie. In the movie version of that. In the anime, when supernatural battles become commonplace, she'd be cast in the English voice of Sayumi Takanashi. In the anime movie Girls und Panzer der Film, she would of course reprise her roles as Yuki Utsugi, Payotan, and Yoshiko Akiyama. She would once again reprise her role as Iris VL von Eidensburn in the 2017 anime Fate Khalid Liner Prisma Ilia Tuve Hertz. And then she would reprise her role as Yuki Utsugi in the 2017 anime Girls und Panzer. This is the real Anzio battle. She would reprise her role as Yui Komori in Diabolic Lovers More Blood. And then in Monster Musume, she'd be casting the voice of Merune Lorelei. She's been in a lot of continuous series, too. As I mentioned earlier, in Food War Shogeki no Soma, she was cast in English voices of Yaeko Minagasaki and Shinomiya's mother. In the Starship Troopers Traitor of Mars movie, from the look of it, this looks like it was more of a live-action movie. She was cast in English voice of a ticket agent. This may have been a live-action movie because the picture they have here is actually of looks like Japanese woman. So this may have been a live-action dub. In other words, a dub where they dubbed over an actual live movie as opposed to an animated movie. She would once again reprise her role as Shinka Nibutani in Love, Shunibyo, and Other Delusions, Rika version. In in Haikyuu, she'd be cast in English voice of Yui Michimiya. Now, I've not seen this anime as of yet. I hope to at some point. I've seen kind of clips of it, particularly when I've looked up like Japanese opening themes. I guess the opening theme for this one is pretty popular. Um, from what I've seen, Haikyuu is an anime about volleyball, about like gymnasium ball, not beach volleyball, but inside volleyball. So it looks like a very interesting sports anime to check out. I hope to at some point. As we now move ahead to 2018 in Review Starlight, she was cast as the English voice of Mahiru Suyuzaki. And then in Princess Principal, she would be cast as the English voice of Lily Gaveston. And then as we move ahead to the 19 in the computer animated Knights of the Zodiac Saint Seiya, she would be cast as the English voice of Eagle Marine. And then her last role, according to this, in Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher, she was cast as the English voice of Kana Kojima. So that's probably, that 2019 role right there is probably her most recent role. Of course, with everything slowing down because of the COVID, that's probably why she hasn't had any roles as of yet in 2020. We're already in the latter half of 2020, and she, I guess, hasn't had any roles come up. So, but she's been in a lot of work, a lot of continuous work at that. Um, so with that, guys, I hope you found all that informative. I hope you guys will consider, you know, I hope you've at least seen some of Maggie's work. And for some of the stuff that you haven't as of yet, I hope you'll check it out. A lot of her work is out of the ADV and Sentai Filmworks / Seraphim Digital Sound um, catalog, in Houston. So you guys might want to check her out. So with that being said, if you guys would like to contact me directly, my Discord is in the links below. You can direct message me there. Um, also, let's see. Also, you can check out the Discord if you like and join if you'd like. Also, there's, as I've always said, Funimation is not the only game in town. I'm still promoting all the different dub companies. There's a bunch of other dub companies that you guys might want to check out their work as well. As some of you know, in the past couple of years, so even Sentai has been gotten some stuff on Toonami, including Akame ga Kill, Parasite the Maxine, and most notably recently Shogeki no Soma. Now, some of you may not remember this or know this, but the original dub of Neon Genesis Evangelion was done by ADV in Houston. So, albeit I don't know, I think the majority of those actors are no longer in the voice acting field. I think Alison Keith Ship is still around a bit. I know Spike Spencer, um, who voiced Shinji, is definitely still in the voice. He moved out here to LA, but what I just recently heard, I think he's actually living in Australia right now. Um, and of course, Tiffany Grant's been a main staple in the Houston voice acting community for the last like 20 years or so. So yeah. So with that as well, I'm also still promoting Vic's GoFundMe as well as that Umbrella Guys and his daughter's comic adventures. As always, guys, never feel like you have to donate if it's on your heart to do so. And on your heart to do so, and you have the means to, please consider donating. If you've already donated, please consider donating again. And if you cannot donate, you can still help out the cause by sharing the link. If sharing is caring, you never know. Maybe somebody in your circle of friends may want to help out. Doesn't hurt to ask. And with that, if you like this content, please consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing. I always look forward to the conversation with you guys, as long as it's civil, respectful. I hope that you guys will be coming to the premiere of this, and of course, now after this premiere, of course, will be the mic stand. I hope to see you guys there as well. This being on Friday, I hope to have some guests for you there. Friday nights will be panel nights. The Friday night forum. I'll bring somebody on, and if I cannot get guests, I'll probably invite some of you. Maybe I'll invite some of you on to join me to talk some of the niche news of the day. So hope to catch y'all. Hope you guys will catch this premiere, and I hope to see you guys at the live stream. And I either hope to see you in a little while for the mic stand Friday night forum, or on Monday for the mic stand Monday machinations. So until then, bye.